Today's episode is brought to you by MRC, a branding studio hailing out of Raleigh, North Carolina, where they focus on crafting killer design work for clients that love uber creative solutions for companies small and large. You can find and connect with them online at mrcraleigh.com. That's MRCRALEIGH, and at MRC Raleigh on Instagram. The good news is, if you find yourself reaching out, you'll most likely get to chat with yours truly. That's right, it's my little branding co, and we're here to make your brand or idea look amazing. So let's connect. Today's episode is also sponsored by Bernie Wild's Adventure Sauce. Bernie Wild's is an adventure brand that's a place where my love of art and food come together in all the right ways. Bernie Wild's Adventure Sauce is a chef-driven heat sauce that in my book is literally the tastiest and most versatile condiment on the planet. This is an everyday sauce that's perfect with salads, fries, burgers, sushi, and pasta. I call it comfort food in a bottle, and it's 100% all natural, plant-based, gluten-free, and flavor-packed. Its unique, craveable flavor has a chipotle smokiness that's perfectly balanced with its creamy carrot base, mixed with a bit of maple syrup, charred onion, miso, and ají amarillo. But don't take my word for it. If you want to see what others have to say, visit berniewilds.com to check out more. And speaking of, we also sell Bernie Wild's comic books and comic panels created and signed by me, not to mention super dope stickers, shirts, and more. I'm giving each and every one of our Pencil Pushers listeners 20% off for their first online order to show my love for all you supporters of the podcast. So just go to berniewilds.com, place your order, and enter the code PENCIL. That's BURNYWILDS.com. That's it, folks. It's that easy. And now, without further ado, on to the show.
We continue doing client work as well. This new direction that the studio has taken is so fulfilling. It makes me so happy. It allows me to work with a team and to hire other people, and it really creates an impact in my students. So that's a win-win situation for everyone.
Recorded at the Kitchen Studios. This is the Pencil Pushers Podcast.
Welcome, Leadheads, to another fine episode of the Pencil Pushers Podcast. I'm, as always, your humble host, Mike Rosado. Today, I'm thrilled to be sharing a very special chat with lettering artist, educator, and leader of our very own studio, the wonderful Martina Flor. We went through a whirlwind of topics that start with the courageous pivot of her leaving her comfy job in Buenos Aires as a graphic designer to train as a lettering artist in Berlin, Germany, into discussions about why this is the best time in history to be a creative, how to position yourself for high-profile client projects, how to even do so as introverted independent creatives, and her thriving academy she created for lettering and illustration students. This talk was so much fun, filled with all kinds of inspiring takeaways, and man, I just can't wait for you to dive in. So let's not waste any more time. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our chat with Martina. We are live with Martina Flor. How are you?
Hi, Mike.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
I know. I'm really excited to have you. It's certainly a little bit of a time jump. You're, I think, in the evening, right? You're in Berlin, right? It's 10 a.m. over here, Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, it's 4 p.m. here.
Yeah, okay. Not too bad.
Entering the evening.
Yeah, not too bad. For the listeners out there, Martina is a lettering designer. She's a lettering artist. She's also an educator. She's got her academy that she's very excited about to share her knowledge and her experience and have new budding lettering artists emerge from the scene, which will be really cool. She's also an author. She's a podcaster. She's got a great podcast. What is the name of your podcast? I actually don't have it written here.
It's Martina Flor's Open Studio.
Okay, killer. Designer, illustrator, teacher, author. So she runs the gamut. She is what I would say is a very modern creative of the day. I mean, this is something we were just talking about before we started pressing record, is what an age that we're living in right now, where we can actually have our hands in so many different avenues to create, to share, to communicate, to gather, etc. I mean, what do you think about that? It's pretty cool time to be alive if you're creative, huh?
Absolutely. I usually talk about this to other creatives I work with, because there's never been a better time to be an artist and a creative, and there's never been a better time to make a living from it, right? Nowadays you can make so many things with your skills. You can teach to other people, you can run a podcast and monetize it, you can, create illustrations for clients, you can do a number of things. And I think it's also great from our times that, the power to explore different avenues is in our hands. Everything is so accessible.
Yes.
And for a creative mind or a creative profile is like the dream life. You can try a lot of different stuff. You can, use your curiosity to take you in different directions. And as I said before, I do that often, but at the same time, from time to time, I stop to think and reflect about, what do I want to continue doing, right? What are the things that really mean something to me? Beyond exploring and trying out new things and new creative avenues, at some point you need to stop and say, like, hey, what makes sense? What
with your time?
Which are the avenues?
With your time,
exactly, and
right.
which are the avenues that bring the more impact, the more joy?
Yeah, it's a huge thing. Yeah, absolutely. So Berlin, I've always, I have a friend who lives in Berlin. She's a photographer. We went to school together in Savannah, Georgia, and I love her dearly. Shout out to Adela. And Berlin, to me, feels like it's an extremely creative city. What is it like living there? What's it like being a creative in such a creative city? And obviously, you're not from Germany, right? You're from South America, I believe, right? Am I wrong? Or okay,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I moved here 12 years ago.
My dream city, by the way. I'm dying to go visit. I'm dying to go
really?
there. Yeah. We'll have to chat about it some other time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I moved here 12 years ago, and I built my life and my business and everything here. And I just love the city because it was the place where I decided to, I was intentional in which direction I wanted to take my career, who I wanted to be my friends, which kind of family I wanted to build. I think for many of us who have relocated cities, I think that there's a lot of challenges in that, in just moving countries. I moved to a totally different country. I didn't know the language. I didn't have any friends or contacts, and I think there's a lot of challenges in doing that, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity. There's the opportunity for you to start over and to create a circle of people around you that really help you achieve your goals, and also set yourself new goals. So, yes, answering to your question, but I love Berlin.
But so I'm just curious now that you said that. What was it that you weren't necessarily getting in Buenos Aires, but number one, and number two, what was it about Berlin that got you so excited?
Good follow-up question. I think that when I moved to Berlin, I was ready to pivot careers. So I'm originally a graphic designer, and I worked for many years as a graphic designer and an art director. I, pretty early in my life, I went up the ladder of graphic design. So when I turned 27, I was a creative director, directing a team at an agency. And at some point I said, I thought that this was not something that brought me joy. And I actually believed that I would just quit and do something else. And at that moment,
like
I decided to go abroad.
even out of the creative field.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I was doing illustration on the side, so I thought, like, there should be something better for me out there that has to do with creativity, that is not necessarily doing graphic design at that time I was actually managing a team. I was more in my email software than in my Illustrator app, right? Mm-hmm. So Adobe Illustrator app. So I decided to double down on some talent that I had around illustration and letter drawing, and I moved abroad that was the first thing or big thing that I did, that I moved abroad and I signed up for a type design master course.